Good morning. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? It's Shannon coming to you live from the Comox Valley on beautiful Vancouver Island. I am so happy you could join me today. If you're joining me here live, welcome. And if you're joining me for the replay, thanks for taking the time to join me. I cannot believe we are in August. It's quite unbelievable to me. But here we are. Today's topic is stepping forward on your own 2 feet, 1 foot in front of the other. Seems very significant. Today, or last week, I came off of the West Coast Trail, and it's a 75-kilometer trail between Bamfield and Port Renfrew. This trail will both bring you to tears, and also it has the ability to just stop you in your tracks in absolute awe of its beauty. Stepping forward into what is unknown has definitely been a theme for me, and so I'm going to try and tie this all together today. I have this fear around making mistakes and doing things right, but yet here I was on the West Coast Trail with a map in hand, leading the way, not knowing which was the way and which foot to put forward, but yet that was all I had, was the path forward in front of me. And so day one on the West Coast Trail was extremely long. It took us over an hour to do each kilometer, which put us into camp well past dinner time. Day two, we needed to make it past this particular point on the beach called Owen Point. And if we didn't, the tide would wash away our ability to cross this path, and our only option would be at that point then to wait several hours for the tide to come back in and go back out again, or backtrack on the beach several kilometers. My girlfriend had wet boots, really bad blisters, and the time had already passed that the rangers had told us we needed to be past this point. And I was starting to get really frustrated and really anxious that we weren't going to make it past this point. And yet all we had was the moment to keep stepping forward. And so we made it up onto the rock. We used the rope to pull us up. Only moments later, and I mean literally moments, we looked down and the ocean washed away the only rock for us to step up onto that ledge. Woof! That was incredible. So 2 weeks ago, I told you and I talked to you about my foot that has been hurting for several years. And I talked to you about this book, Louise Hay, Heal Your Body, and how she connects mental causes for physical illness. And, standing on my 2 feet has been something that I've needed to do for a really long time. And in the last 2 weeks, I've decided to stand up and use my voice in many ways. What I've learned is I've kind of let my kids run our home for a very long time. That's really hard for me to say out loud, by the way. My story is that Abigail and Nolan struggle with a lot of anxiety, and they struggle with a lot of fears, and so I made exceptions, a lot of exceptions. And I didn't often follow through with consequences. I wasn't good at setting boundaries, and all it left me was feeling resentful and feeling frustrated. And so one day on our trip across Canada, which we did for 2 months just recently before I came back from the West Coast Trail, we were in the Niagara Falls parking lot and Abigail had a massive explosion and told me that I was an epic failure as a mother. An epic failure because I couldn't fix Nolan. I couldn't make him better. And I didn't get mad at her because it was actually really beautiful to see her using her voice. She often, I would say almost always, keeps everything tucked inside. And what I realized is that Abigail needs to stop being Nolan's mother, and I need to start standing up and using my voice and letting Abigail relax into her spot as Abigail and Nolan siblings and not feel like she needs to be Nolan's mother. And so here we were in the middle of the Niagara Falls campground, and Abigail's bawling her eyes out on the picnic in front of the campfire. Nolan's bawling his eyes out on a picnic table, and Marty's waving his hands in the air behind me saying he quits and he's going home. And I knew at that point something needed to shift, and it did. And it involved me stepping into my strength and this theme again about putting one foot in front of the other into the things that scare me. And so when I got home, I decided I was going to start to lay down some boundaries in the home, and I was going to start following through with some consequences for my kids because I love them, because I want them to do better and be strong. And the only way they can be strong is if I'm strong. And so since this has all happened, I can feel the resentment literally slipping away. And I also, it's so evident to me that my kids needed me to step up. And step up so they can step down. Because mom needs to be strong. Mom needs to be strong so they can be strong. So fast forward back to the West Coast Trail. It's day 7. And a mama cougar and 2 baby cubs have been spotted. And there we are in the middle of the trail with no one around anywhere. And I've got the map and I'm leading the way. And I'm scared, but I step forward anyway because it's the only way. There's nowhere else to go except forward. And so we sang, we spoke very loudly, and we made it. We did it. We did it. Yeah, the West Coast Trail and raising kids, definitely both very humbling experiences. I really, this equate to one another for sure. They can and will bring all pleathers of all emotions, from anger to sadness to frustration to resentfulness to being afraid to stressed to gratitude, and to show you the strength that you have inside. Not only me, but all of us. And so today, I continue with my theme of putting one foot in front of the other. And I am so incredibly grateful to be here because each one of these that I do scares me to death. And yet I know that each one brings me more confidence towards what I want to do in my life. And so thank you for joining me today. I am so incredibly grateful. I look forward to seeing you next week. And a big shout out to Nitu. Happy birthday to you today. And yeah, love to you all. Take care. Have a fantastic week. Bye.